Good evening, everybody. It is 5:51, and the Board of Commissioners Workshop Agenda Setting Meeting is called to order. Will the City Clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Black,
Present.
Vice Mayor Hodges,
Here.
Commissioner Weinstein,
Here.
Commissioner Andrews,
Here.
Commissioner Douther.
Present.
All right, we have, on the Workshop Agenda Setting Meeting, we have 7 items. One is the Comprehensive Annual Finance Report, fiscal year 9/30/2018, a noise ordinance discussion, utilizing a Board of Adjustment Board versus a Special Magistrate Board, ordinance placing charter amendments on the November 2019 general election ballot, discussion about beach chairs agreement, snack shack lease agreement, and fantasy planet lease agreement. Does anyone have anything to add?
I do. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Mayor. I would like to add 2 items to that May 28th agenda. The one is I would certainly like to put that kiosk in Johns Pass Village back in there. We have never made a complete, never come to a conclusion on that. And the second item is a discussion of the upcoming review for our city clerk, Clara Van Blargen, and the matrix to be used for her evaluation when we have our discussion. Who provides the matrix, all those different types of questions. I'd like to discuss that on May the 28th.
Okay.
I had something also. I don't know if it's to go on the agenda for it. So, Mr. City Manager, I'd like to ask you, it's the evaluation for the city attorney. I got an agreement in my mailbox a couple weeks ago that it was time for his renewal. And I just need to know, is this something that we need to put on a workshop, or should we just something we just take care of, or how do we handle this?
My recommendation would be that the board place this item on a workshop agenda for discussion.
Okay. And also, since the finance director is still a charter officer, would he be falling under the same category of an evaluation by the commission?
Yes, Madam Vice Mayor, what I would recommend is that we place an item on the agenda for an evaluation. And what I would do is, since the rearrangement with the finance director is uniquely different, is that I would provide a recommendation and then bring it to the board, and then you would add any additional comments and perspectives with regards to the performance of the finance director, and then that would conclude the evaluation of that particular individual.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. And maybe being the freshman commissioner here, I'm a little lost because I submitted a list of 17 items 2 months ago to be put on the workshop, and not one of them has been listed yet, and I have absolutely no idea why or how to do it. If it's as easy as what I've just watched 2 commissioners do, then can mine go on there, or why haven't mine been put on an agenda to speak about?
Those items need to be communicated here in a public setting, and there needs to be consensus on the board to add those items onto an agenda.
All right, you've already weighed in on them, and they can be put on the agenda, so why didn't we put them on here and we could have discussed them and taken them off?
Because it has to be in a public setting, Commissioner.
Okay. How do you guys want to do this? You want to go down them one by one, and you can, because I'm not, I know that the city manager did pipe in on his thoughts on this. We still have the responsibility to manage the city manager. So I'm not, and maybe I'm wrong. I was under the impression that we legislate this city and we run this city, not the city manager. So if we find him doing something that we don't agree with, or something that's outside the code of ethics or outside of our city charter or outside our employee handbook, we should be allowed to investigate that. And if that's the way we have to do this, then that's fine. And we've also had other potential violations too. So I'm not sure. Do we run down this list, or what would you like me to do, Madam Mayor?
Well, I believe that it was designated which of all the initial items that you had, which ones would actually be on a workshop and which ones would be handled administratively.
Right, but if these are violations, and if
that would be handled, I don't believe that would be handled here. That would be handled with the city attorney or the city manager.
But if the city manager is the one with the violations, am I allowed to do my investigation as per our commissioner handbook?
I would say the city manager or city attorney, can you answer that? I mean, I don't think it's something that we do at a workshop.
I think you're bouncing around a whole bunch of different topics. One of the questions is the commissioner wants to add some things to a workshop. I think the city manager prepared a memorandum that said which things would be appropriate for a workshop. So if the commissioner wanted to take those, they should go one by one, asking them, you know, the ones that I think at least that there's consensus that they're appropriate for a workshop. You should go through and get a vote on each one of those to determine how many you want to put on this next workshop or the following workshop. There's a lot of work there, a lot of different items, so you may want to break them up among
Yeah,
a few
well,
different
that's,
workshops.
yeah, I thought that was being done. I'll tell you what, I'll start my investigation, and I'll save it for the next workshop, and I'll submit them then. Thank you.
All right, just to be clear, though, there is this email where it shows the public policy discussions that we could have and what things would be private investigations.
Madam Mayor, we're allowed to investigate anything that we want.
Yes, we are, but I'm
Okay.
saying that's a separate issue from the workshop.
Okay,
and what we're
but
gonna
he
discuss.
can't tell us
Well,
what we can investigate and what we can talk about.
No.
Okay, that's all I'm pointing out, that's all.
The city charter, I think, was recently amended about investigations. If it's going to be a city council investigation, you need to look at that new charter. If he's referring to the words investigating, just looking into or requesting public records, that's different. But a formal investigation is done by one of the charter officers on behalf of the board.
Right. Okay.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to add a couple things. I'd like to talk about a special event task force. I'd like to add it. And then talk about electric car hookups. And would like to bring back impact fees.
Excuse me, Commissioner, what was that first one you mentioned?
Say again, please.
What was that first one you mentioned again?
A special event task force.
Oh, thank you.
You know, the other thing, and we'll probably get into it more when we get, you know, into our stuff tonight, when we get to the Commissioner's Handbook. But, you know, if I remember correctly, in the Commissioner's Handbook, it says that we're supposed to have our packets at least 7 days beforehand. And we're not getting them 7 days beforehand. We need to start, and at that point, you know, the city clerk needs to cut it off and say, no more, this is where we go, period. And, I mean, I got mine Saturday afternoon. So, to me, this isn't right, and if I remember correctly, in the Commissioner's Handbook, it says at least 7 days prior. You know, and to throw it on us on Friday afternoon, which is normal, or Saturday afternoon, in my case this past week, does not really give me enough time to go into detail the way I need to for a lot of the things that's on here. So I think we really need to look at this.
And especially when the packet's as big as it is
And, you know,
today.
after that 7-day cutoff, you know, I think, unless it's a matter of health or safety or something like that, it just doesn't go on the agenda. Just roll over to the next one. You know, I'm sorry, but health or safety is the only two reasons you should add it after that day.
I agree.
Madam Mayor, if I may, some items that I think the board should consider placing it on its next regular meeting workshop is the PD ordinance. We would like to get perspective from the board as to how you would like for us to craft that ordinance, and then a conversation with regards to zoning, specifically to the challenges that we experience with Florida parking throughout our community that is operating in some residential areas. So there's some concerns that the Community Development Director and I would like to bring forward for the board to consider as we move forward. So those two items, the PD ordinance and the zoning for Florida parking lots that we have.
You're asking for that on the next workshop, Jonathan?
Preferably, yes, sir.
If that's the case, I think that the city clerk needs to get everyone a copy of the comprehensive plan, because that's what we're supposed to be going by, and we're not even close to it. I mean, I got it right here with me today, And we have so many things that we're not even close to on the comp plan. So if we're going to discuss these things, I think each of us needs to have a copy of the comp plan to really read it in detail.
Anybody have anything else to add? All right. That's the only-
No, but that's 15 items.
Does anybody have anything they want to subtract?
Madam Mayor, if it's the pleasure of the board, I can go through and weed out some of the things that are not time sensitive and make some modifications. It may result in us having a subsequent meeting later on in the month as well to try to resolve some of these other items, because some of them are time sensitive.
I'd go for another meeting, yeah, if that is what we have to do.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Hodges?
Yes.
Commissioner Douther?
Yes.
Commissioner Andrews?
Yes.
Commissioner Weinstein?
Yes?
Mayor Black?
Yes. Meeting is now adjourned at 6:03. And once again, welcome everybody. Today is May 14th.